Hi guys, it's Jordan coming to you. I'm piggybacking off of my buddy Moliere Dimanche with Convict Podcast on this. He did an expose late last night regarding the inmate mortality page being removed from the Florida Department of Corrections, or Florida Department of Corruption, who don't know, the Florida Department of Corrections website. This page is a vital piece of information. In fact, for those that don't know, inmate mortality page means the inmates that die under the care of the Department of Corrections are listed on this page with the institution, the manner of their death, whether it be suicide, natural causes, the demographics of this. So this is gone. The inmate mortality page is gone, and you have to be very concerned as a society and as a state and as a free republic when government agencies are removing vital information in secrecy and hiding it. Human nature will tell you, you only hide shit when you're doing wrong. And so they remove this vital piece of information. Why is it vital? Because it shows accountability to the state's institutions and the deaths that are happening underneath them. Let me say this, Chief Medical Examiner, Coroner, we know that you're in the bag, because somebody doesn't die from natural causes and have like abdominal trauma, broken ribs, lacerated livers, bruising, and things of that nature. So we know that you guys are doing this. But to remove the inmates' names off of this website is a slap in the face to anybody who's done time, anybody who's doing time, anybody who has a loved one that's incarcerated right now. We are supposed to be able to hold government agencies accountable to their actions. The whole purpose behind prison is accountability. That literally is the main directive behind prison. You're being held accountable for your actions, yet those that guard the situation are not held accountable. And we see this replay itself over and over as inmate trauma happens, inmate death happens, rape, babies born while women have been incarcerated for years. There's like DNA evidence and nobody is arrested. And so to remove this shows that y'all are some shady SOBs. Mark Inch, how dare you? Governor DeSantis, what the F, man? I'm trying to keep my cussing down. I hope I'm doing a good job for those that don't like the F word. It's amazing to me that these elected government officials can make such drastic and police state maneuvers. When there's so much controversy going on in this subject, you would think they would want to be open and honest, and not block certain things. But then again, this is the Florida Department of Corruption. And so this leads to my next point. If you do not have your voter registration rights back as a convicted felon, you need to get it. I have mine. I was fortunate enough that I had a good job when I was at work release, and I paid off all my fines, fees, restitution while I was still incarcerated, so that when I got out, I was able to file for my voter registration, get that done, so that I have a voice in this. There are 1.4 million voters in Florida who are disenfranchised, meaning do not have the right to vote. Let's say half of that, let's just say 700,000 people, have not paid off their financial obligations. It could be $200, guys, or it could be $2,000. If you have the means to do it, pay it off, because your voice is what matters. These laws that are being enacted are affecting everybody. And I don't care what political party you're a part of, what your political views are. If you have a government agency that's hiding and withholding information that is integral to the entire dynamic here, you should be very, very afraid. You should be very afraid for yourself, for your children, and your grandchildren. And speaking of children and grandchildren, there's a whole bunch of you, a whole lot of you, who can sit in judgment from your pretty little house or your cute little couch or your comfy little lawn chair, and you can cast out judgment, you can cast out opinions, but your feet never hit the sand and you don't know what you're talking about. Your children, your grandchildren, as you sit there so snide and with your elitist attitudes, will be the next inmates. And if you don't believe me, go check out the institutions now, because they're filled with kids and grandkids, nieces, nephews, grandmothers, grandfathers, and the like. And so your son who has anger issues, who plays on Fortnite all night as you drink Starbucks and talk on Facebook and all of that stuff, he's going to end up popping off on somebody and getting into a fight and maybe, shanking them with a pencil at school. It happens all the time. You parents who beat the shit out of your kids, they end up going and becoming alcoholics and doing the same thing. And so where it does not affect you now, where you can't actually put your hands on the relation to having a loved one incarcerated or to be incarcerated, y'all better get a grip, because where it doesn't affect you, it will affect somebody that you love. Everything is an arrestable offense, not only in this state, but in this nation. So all you folks who are too proud and you've lived a good life and you've made wonderful life choices and I've never done anything wrong, and you never know when one too many Bloody Marys is going to have you wreck your little golf cart into somebody, and you're going to be held accountable for that. Or when your loved one, dude, I just had like a mosquito fly in my mouth. It was pretty gross. When your loved one is affected by it, just because you don't overtly break the law or overtly have a drug addiction or overtly do these things doesn't mean that at some point in your life you're not going to, because shit changes all the time. If you do not have your voting rights back, please try to get them, because your voice matters. We have to change things like this. We have to get people like Governor DeSantis out of office. The only good thing that this MFer has done is to legalize medical frickin' marijuana, you know what I'm saying? And to get flour in here. Like, that's it. Like, good job. Thanks, bro. We appreciate it. Actually, we do. We do appreciate it. But what we don't appreciate is when you withhold very crucial public information regarding the death of people. And again, for people who do not understand the amount and the types of prison inmates that there are, you don't just go to prison for rape and murder. You go to prison for writing bad checks because you needed to feed your kids. You go to prison for filling out false food stamp applications, which I know a whole bunch of you hoes are guilty of. You go to prison for claiming, kids that aren't yours on your tax return. You go to prison for showing up at your kid's school and defending your kid and getting into a fight and you punch somebody too hard and they hit their head. You go to prison for a lot of different things. And there are a lot of innocent people in prison. And no matter what, prison is a loss of liberty. A loss of liberty, not humanity. And that's what matters.